One of the most important days in the history of Allhallows School dawns bright and clear. For days before, the area had been shrouded in an annoying sea mist all too familiar to pupils and staff and known locally as the Rousdon mist. But as if to give its blessing to this particular day, the sun shines down on the last-minute preparations. Today is the day that the Duke of York is coming to the school to open the new sports hall. For present pupils and the thousands to follow, an event to cherish. As pupils thread their way from their houses down to the school, the usual frolicking and jostling has been replaced by an air of expectant dignity, which must have surprised the staff. A proud day, too, for parents who've come from all over the country and even flown in from abroad for an occasion that will be talked about for generations to come. The stage is being set, the audience congregating. A big day too for the headmaster, Mr. Peter Larkman, who was housemaster to the Duke of York at Gordonstoun, and who has offered His Royal Highness the invitation. A feeling of muted anticipation as the school awaits the arrival of their royal guests. At the side entrances to the hall, the contestants gather. It's nearly time. As the police escort pulls up, Mr. Larkman gives his watch a surreptitious glance to check that his former pupil still practices the lessons of punctuality which he was taught at Gordonstoun. Now, of course, Prince Andrew has other people to make sure he arrives exactly on time. But it's the Duchess of York who is first out of the car to the cheers of the onlookers, closely followed by the Duke, accompanied by the Lord Lieutenant, the Earl of Morley. First to greet the royal couple is Mr. J.A. Danieli, Chairman of the Governors, and Mrs. Danieli. Then a cheery hello to his former mentor, Mr. Larkman, and his wife Jenny, before the party moves on. Next to be introduced are the school governors. And the bursar, Mr. Paul Dallimore, shares a private joke with the Duchess. Then into the sports hall, an impressive building covering a ground area of 1,000 square meters. In the front row, the first cricket 11, and of course, television cameramen here to record the event.
If we look around this sports hall, I hope that it is obvious what an asset it will be to the school. Also, as happens quite often in both summer and winter, for the last few days, we have been living in the clouds, or as it is known locally, the Rousdon mist. Fortunately, someone up there has been looking after us today. If you had been there, however, during the Rousdon mist, you could have seen even more obviously why the school needs this new facility. Your Royal Highness, during your school career, you were in the position of having to call me sir. It gives me great pleasure to reciprocate this morning by saying to you, please sir, will you do us the honour of opening our sports hall and thus inaugurating the Allhallows Festival School.
Headmaster, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the school. As I know, in a school you can't forget the pupils. Firstly, being a teacher, I know that you're not supposed to start by apologizing, and I'm sure you've all heard that before. But I do apologize that we haven't really got very much time to visit the school today because of our exceedingly busy schedule, and I will admit that it was a mistake on my part that I arranged something in London last night so we couldn't come here earlier today. Your headmaster and I I didn't mean it quite like that, but your headmaster and I go back quite a long way, and in fact I joined him in his house at Gordonston in 1973, and I ended up as his head of house by the end of my time there in 1979. So I think I know him quite well. More importantly, that I'm now serving in the Rousdon mist, as you call it, just down the road at Portland, and serving with 702 Squadron, which is affiliated to the school, and I have on one previous occasion visited here. Some of you may remember in my links. And I was talking to one member of the school staff on Monday morning who said that this rather impressive sports hall was in a bit of a mess on Monday, and he hoped that by Saturday that it was going to look very, very smart. And I must say that arriving today in the sunshine makes a great difference. Going back to my school career, I will admit to getting a very surprise telephone call from Peter Larkman at Balmoral in 1979, when he announced to me over the telephone, to his great surprise, that I'd passed all my A-levels. This came as some surprise to him because I was his captain of cricket, and I spent most of my time out on the cricket ground and sports plays, rather than doing the homework that I was supposed to be doing. But I will say that sport and work go together. That's physical exercise and mental exercise. One wakes you up and the other one puts you to sleep. At least certainly Latin put me to sleep. And at Dartmouth, I undertook to do the Royal Marines Commando course, and whilst undergoing a course of physics, maths and mechanics, which is another favourite topic of your headmaster. And I must say that both complemented each other, and I was genuinely surprised that they did. And I passed my exams and also passed the commando course. Sport is very important, and I do hope that with this splendid facility that you will use it wisely and you will further your sport throughout the school and to other people who come and use it. And I must say that I am exceedingly jealous looking at this, remembering what I had at Gordonston and what I've seen since with the Navy. I think that rather than continue and tell you a story about my wonderful wife. I'm not entirely up on her school career, but she was head of hockey, I think, but didn't play a great deal of indoor sport. It gives us great pleasure today to open the sports hall and to inaugurate your week of festival sport. Thank you very much.
The plaque is officially unveiled and everyone is in the mood. A chance now for the royal pair to meet some of the pupils, and the Duchess no doubt recalls some of her own school days in the gymnasium. Outside in the sun, a presentation of a bouquet by a slightly nervous James Moore. A sad sign of the times is the intense police security, even at such a convivial occasion. But even the close cordon of bodyguards can't prevent the Duke and Duchess having a farewell joke with the head. An anxious police team supervises the royal couple's departure.
Okay, chaps.
With their escort of cars lining up in convoy, as the spectators catch a final glimpse of their distinguished visitors.